It's so crazy to me because I'm asked so many times if I'm resentful in any type of way for where the WNBA is right now.
Candace Parker just said out loud what every Caitlin Clark fan has been thinking all season long. And it's exactly the kind of truth the WNBA's old guard didn't want to hear. And now the league, especially the commissioner, needs to pay attention. We hoped a new season would bring a shift in attitude toward Caitlin and her fans. But instead, the jealousy has grown louder, the bitterness has deepened, and the double standards are more obvious than ever. But Candace, a WNBA legend, just stepped in and made them all look ridiculous. What she said was pure common sense, the kind of perspective that cuts through the drama and lays everything bare. Maybe now the league will stop and actually think. Because if this season has proven anything, it's that the more Caitlin Clark succeeds, the more the league seems to spiral into insecurity. So let's break down what Candace actually said, because it might just be the calmest yet most powerful. Clap back against the hate surrounding Caitlin Clark and the outdated mindset of the league's old guard. But first, make sure to like this video. Every like is a tissue for the haters. They're going to need it after hearing what Candace dropped. And don't forget to subscribe for more Caitlin Clark and Indiana Fever updates. So why is Candace speaking up now, and why does it matter?
Out of women's basketball for a horrible team when she arrived. Outside of LeBron and Steph, she is the most well-known basketball player currently playing in the United States.
Oh, yes. And I don't think that's close.
The WNBA is witnessing explosive growth right now. And let's be honest, it's all thanks to Caitlin Clark. It's the worst kept secret in sports. Caitlin isn't just the most popular player in WNBA history. She might be the most popular athlete in the entire country, period. We've all seen the numbers from last season. Historic TV ratings, skyrocketing ticket sales, merchandise flying off shelves. Every stat tells the same story. Caitlin Clark moves the needle like no one else. And this season, she's already blowing past those numbers. Sold-out arenas, record-breaking viewership. What we're seeing isn't just momentum. It's a full-blown movement. The Caitlin Clark effect is real, and it's only getting bigger.
It is the second highest viewership, which is like average viewership. However, it was the highest peak of any game ever on CBS.
Fans are showing up in record numbers this season to watch Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. It all started with 1.3 million viewers for a preseason exhibition game against Brazil. Just think about that for a second. A preseason matchup drew numbers most regular season games can only dream of. Then came the season opener. 2.7 million average viewers tuned in to watch her face off against the Chicago Sky, making it the most watched WNBA regular season game in 25 years. And recently, her game against the Liberty peaked at 3.3 million viewers. But just as the momentum was building, Caitlin suffered an injury, and everything changed in an instant.
And now that Caitlin Clark is injured, the ticket prices for the Fever and Sky game just plummeted to Hades.
Ticket prices for Fever games without Caitlin Clark dropped by a staggering 300%. And while Fever fans have continued to hold strong in the TV ratings, more on that in a bit, the rest of the league has fallen way behind. This should be a massive wake-up call for everyone. The players, the coaches, the front office, and the league itself. Caitlin Clark is projected to bring in over $1 billion in revenue for the WNBA this year alone. And that points to one undeniable reality. The entire league is one serious Caitlin Clark injury away from losing all the momentum it's built. So for those banking on big CBA dollars, like Angel Reese, or that new deal Nafisa Collier thinks players have leverage for, here's the truth. Without Caitlin, none of it is guaranteed. But somehow, the league keeps getting in its own way. Instead of accepting the obvious truth about who's really driving this growth, they bend over backwards trying to credit anything and everything else. Instead of celebrating progress, they keep dragging the conversation into everything but basketball.
The loudest mics, like I stated, are the ones that's race baiting. Not even bringing up the names, but all the people that I'm seeing that are tied within the WNBA media, coaches, all type of things. They are very resentful of Caitlin Clark, and I don't know why. It doesn't make sense when you have somebody that's doing what she's doing for the WNBA.
We're only a few games into the season, and it's already been one facepalm after another when it comes to how Caitlin Clark and her fans have been treated. It took just a single game for the chaos to begin. After the season opener against the Sky, the league launched an investigation into alleged hate speech, based on virtually nothing. But the damage was done. Instead of celebrating Caitlin's incredible debut and what should have been a record-breaking feel-good moment for the league, the headlines were completely hijacked. And once again, Caitlin Clark and her Fans were pulled into a narrative that had nothing to do with what actually happened on the court. Instead of focusing on her performance, the attention shifted to controversy and distraction, completely missing the real story unfolding in front of us.
You even though it's 100% false, by acknowledging we don't condone hate and not seeing that this was a internet rumor founded of complete bullshit, you're lending credence to this. There was none of that.
Out of that mess came a completely warped narrative that Indianapolis wasn't safe for players and that Caitlin Clark's fan base was hateful. Some people even went so far as to call for the All-Star game to be moved out of Indiana. Others were demanding Dave Portnoy be banned from arenas for heckling Angel Reese. Yet through all of this, the league has remained silent, completely quiet about the very real hate and targeted attacks aimed at Caitlin Clark and the Fever. No statements, no defense, no show of support, absolutely nothing.
We've gone way out of bounds.
The things being said about the Fever players, especially Caitlin, went far beyond basketball. These weren't just critiques of her game or debates about her popularity. They crossed the line into pure hate, with some comments even becoming threatening. It stopped being about sports and turned into something much darker.
The kind of stuff that's being said to them, the stuff that's being said to Kelsey Mitchell, the kind of things that are being said to Natasha Howard are actually wild. People have taken a photo of these women and circled a bullseye on them and have said, it's on site when I see you. Those are actual threats.
These weren't just rude comments. They were legitimate threats, personal targeted attacks that crossed every line. And you'd expect the league, especially one that constantly promotes its stance on inclusion and zero tolerance for hate, to at least step up and condemn it. But instead, silence. No statement, no defense, no show of support. And it hasn't stopped. It's only gotten worse. Now we're at a point where fans on X are actually accusing Caitlin of using her assistant coach's baby as a prop. That's how far off the rails this has gone.
Caitlin Clark is getting some of the grossest, most morbid comments, racist, hateful. We're talking the cup runneth over with hate. Here, Kathy Engelbert, you're no space for hate? Where are you right now?
That's right. They're actually attacking Caitlin for holding a baby. That's the level of discourse we've reached. It's moved beyond criticism into outright conspiracy, and still, the league has nothing to say. The hate directed at Caitlin and her fans hasn't faded. It's only intensified. And despite all the numbers, the sold-out arenas, and the record-breaking viewership, there's still a strange resistance to simply acknowledging her impact. And that resistance? It starts at the top.
Kathy Engelbert, in this long, drawn-out article, goes on and gives herself credit for why the WNBA has finally entered some type of mainstream conversation.
Commissioner Kathy Engelbert even wrote an article for the Harvard Business Review where she went out of her way to take credit and to spread that credit around to just about everyone except the one person actually driving the league's success. Coaches, players, marketing teams, front office strategies. She listed them all. Everyone got a pat on the back. But Caitlin Clark, barely a mention. Virtually no real emphasis on the singular force behind this unprecedented wave of attention and growth.
To new followers and outside observers, our organization's success might seem overnight and even lucky, prepared by a singularly exceptional group of college players coming into the WNBA. However, we could not have capitalized on those advantages without years of hard work and preparation. Years of hard work and preparation. It might have seemed like it came overnight.
She diluted Caitlin's impact more than a McDonald's fountain Coke. In the article, Engelbert lumped Caitlin Clark in with Angel, Reese, and Cameron Brink, saying that as these rookies entered the league, regular season games averaged 1.2 million viewers, up 170% from the previous season. But you know it, I know it, and even your dog knows it. Those numbers came from Caitlin's games. It was her presence driving that surge. Yet because the old guard can't stomach the fact that Caitlin is getting all the credit, there's this constant effort to spread it around, to hand out gold stars to everyone but her.
They just can't. They just can't not even wrap their head around. They can't just accept, okay, this person is more popular than me, or this person is more popular than the player that we want to push.
It's fine. One thing to be jealous, Everyone feels that at some point. But what we're seeing with Caitlin Clark goes way beyond that. There's this strange need to tear her down just to feel lifted up. And in far too many cases, people default to calling it racism as the reason she's getting so much attention, as if it has nothing to do with the fact that she's shattered 62 WNBA records, became a first-team All-Star, ranked 4th in MVP, voting, and dragged a struggling franchise into the playoffs in her rookie season. It's wild, because whether they want to admit it or not, what Caitlin is doing is making things better for everyone. When the spotlight is on her, it doesn't just stop there. It reflects onto the entire league.
When they play in these arenas where there are 15 to 20,000 people in the stands, they are in front of people that they haven't been in front of before. That is an opportunity for all of us fans to get to know all the players on the court, all of the players in the WNBA, to pick new favorite players, to pick other teams that we want to follow along.
We've already had legends speak up about this. People who helped build the league and truly understand what's at stake. Lisa Leslie, a Hall of Famer and one of the most respected voices in women's basketball, basically dropped the mic on the entire WNBA when she called out the jealousy surrounding Caitlin Clark. She didn't sugarcoat it. She pointed straight at the issue. Instead of embracing Caitlin's impact, too many are letting envy get in the way of progress.
I think it's all about money, marketing, and we cannot deny what Caitlin Clark has done for the women's game. I'm not going to act like it's something that we don't see. She's had a huge effect. Call it the Caitlin Clark effect. Yes, have we ever had teams have to get into larger arenas to play against a team? No, we have not. So if we have more eyeballs on the game and Caitlin Clark brings that, why would we feel some kind of way because she has more television games?
But still, the pushback continues. It's like the league needs a wake-up call every other day. And at this point, it feels like that reality check can only come from the legends, the true old guard who actually understand how rare and valuable this moment is. Well, Candace Parker is as old guard as it gets. A 3-time WNBA champion, 2-time league MVP, and 2-time Olympic gold medalist, she's one of the most decorated, respected, and sharpest minds the league has ever produced. And this week, she joined Stephen A. Smith on First Take to do what almost no one else in the league has had the courage to do: address the elephant in the room.
Ultimately, it comes down to the fact that there were an abundance of women in the WNBA doing tremendous work on behalf of the WNBA and the game of basketball, and you just sense that folks were feeling an absence of appreciation.
Now, Stephen A. Smith, credit where it's due, hasn't been afraid to call it like it is. He's been one of the few mainstream voices willing to actually say the word jealousy. He's seen it, fans have seen it, and anyone watching the WNBA right now can feel it. And on First Take, he didn't hold back. He dropped a logic bomb on Nafisa Collier, who had expressed frustration about Caitlin getting more nationally televised games. Stephen A. reminded everyone that this isn't about favoritism, it's about business. The numbers don't lie. Caitlin Clark draws viewers, sells tickets, and grows the league. That's not a problem. It's a gift.
But then this dude named Michael Jordan came along. And Michael Jordan came along and he wasn't yet winning championships, but his popularity was so astronomical that the NBA practically marketed everything they could around this guy. So to know that there's an example like that as a shining example to be followed that could benefit the league, particularly down the road, why is that an issue when we've seen that such a marketing plan has worked in the past?
This wasn't a cushy interview or a safe space with easy questions. There was no room for dodging, no sugarcoating, just a direct dive into the real issues with zero fluff.
Can you speak to that collective frustration that some may have been feeling and whether or not you think it's something that's being overcome as you all thrive and move forward and continue to promote and uplift this league?
But what we got from Candace was one of the most measured, thoughtful, and logical responses yet. The kind of answer that made Caitlin Clark fans everywhere nod their heads and say, exactly.
You know, it's so crazy to me because I'm asked so many times if I'm resentful in any type of way for where the WNBA is right now. My job was to leave the game better than I came into it. You think Cheryl Miller is resentful for me that I had a league to play in? No, she's being the mentor that she is, and she's supporting and loving and sitting courtside cheering on Juju Watkins. And I'm doing the same for Caitlin Clark and all the women in the WNBA.
And this was a Picasso of logic, a true masterpiece in perspective. And there's more to come. But first, did you catch it? Candace said she gets asked all the time if she's resentful of Caitlin Clark. That one line says everything. about how deep the jealousy runs in the WNBA. Think about it. Media members, players, insiders are actually going to one of the most decorated athletes in league history and asking if she's jealous of Caitlin Clark. That alone tells you everything you need to know. But Candace gave the perfect answer, the kind that should be the standard. She said, "It's not about being jealous of who's next. It's about getting the game to a place where it's ready for the next star. You don't have to downplay Caitlin. You don't have to pretend her success is a fluke or ignore the fact that she's lightning in a bottle. Be proud that you helped build the platform and then support her, because here's the truth. It benefits everyone." And Candace wasn't done. She didn't spell it out word for word, but her message was loud and clear. She was calling out all the noise, especially the race-based talking points that have been quietly, and sometimes not so quietly, used to undermine Caitlin's rise.
You know, I tuned in when Kevin Durant went back and played Russell Westbrook, and they bumped shoulders and everybody was tuned in. But I want to keep it within the lines of the game. And I think that's what's the most important. Now everybody has a Twitter finger. Everybody can have reach to, you know, the WNBA and make comments. But really the key is, let's keep it about basketball. That's my thing. And when we do that, then we're able to really grow the game and what it represents.
You hear that, WNBA? You hear that, Twitter haters? Keep it about basketball. Because all these race-based takes aren't helping the game grow. They're not building anything. All they're doing is drawing attention to the WNBA in the worst possible way. As a league tearing itself apart from the inside, unable to celebrate its biggest moment without turning it into a culture war.
They want to paint the narrative that it's a white and black thing going on, and now that toxic energy is spilling over to people who don't even watch the games. So now they feel like they are a part of the league just because they know or feel like they know what's going on with the race thing. Like, cut it out, man. You all want the league to grow, but you all saying keep it about basketball, but y'all not keeping it about basketball. I don't get it.
All Caitlin Clark has done is step on the court, put on a show, and deliver exactly what the fans came to see. And by doing that, she's grown the game in a way the WNBA has never experienced before. None of this has ever been about color. She hasn't disrespected other players, fans, or the legends who came before her. In fact, she's done the opposite, consistently, showing respect, giving credit to the pioneers of the game, shouting out her teammates, praising her opponents, and staying genuinely humble throughout it all. She's not tearing anyone down. She's lifting the entire sport up. Just listen to what Lisa Leslie had to say about her respect for the game's legends.
And I love that. I love that she's not the player who's like, it's all about her. It's not. She's giving love and homage to those of us that have come before her. She shares the wealth with her teammates, and she doesn't have to do that.
This isn't coming from some outsider. This is coming from an OG who helped build the WNBA. And now Candace Parker is echoing the exact mindset every player should have. Leave the game better than you found it, so players like Caitlin can carry the torch just like she once did. That's how it works. Just like Bird and Magic led to Jordan, who led to Shaq, Kobe, LeBron, and now Luka and SGA, each generation pushes the game forward, so the next one can shine even brighter.
But now, because of visibility, listen, I still know the Dominique Wilkins. I still know, you know, all of those players, the Dr. J's and all that stuff. I don't think they're not salty that MJ came along and grew the game. I mean, that's what it is.
And finally, Candace makes it clear. The league needs to get its house in order, because this moment isn't just about Caitlin Clark. It's about setting the stage for the WNBA's future.
The WNBA as a whole is in an amazing place. Now it's about business to me.
At the end of the day, it all comes down to business. And Candace gets that. Caitlin Clark isn't just a highlight machine. She's a game changer for the bottom line.
If you have a good product and your biggest hurdle is getting people to sample the product, she's a godsend. There's no denying it.
If they believe they've got the upper hand heading into the next CBA without Caitlin Clark, her recent injury should serve as a serious wake-up call. But remember when I mentioned how Fever fans were holding strong? That detail matters big time. Take a look at this.
The Indiana Fever's matchup on Friday versus the Sun drew 851,000 viewers, becoming the most viewed WNBA game on ION this season despite Caitlin Clark's absence.
The Fever are still pulling strong viewership even without Caitlin Clark. Sure, the numbers aren't what they were with her on the floor, but that's not the point. What matters is this. we're witnessing the first ripple of the Caitlin Clark effect. It's taking hold in Indiana, and if the league plays it smart, it'll spread across the entire WNBA. But that kind of transformation takes time. Cultural shifts like this don't happen overnight. They take years to build. And when done right, they create the groundwork for the next generational star to shine even brighter. Right now, the WNBA is in the most pivotal growth window it's ever had, and the league can't afford to waste it. That means embracing the new audience, celebrating the star who brought them here, and just as crucial, protecting her on the court. It means fixing the officiating and ensuring fairness, because you simply can't let opponents target your biggest draw without consequences. The more players like Candace Parker stand up and speak the truth, the better the odds this fragile ecosystem survives and stabilizes. The real question now is, will the league finally get it? Or will their greatest weakness, refusing to fully accept Caitlin Clark and the millions of fans she's brought, be what holds them back for good? If you've made it this far, drop A in the comments because that's exactly what you are. Thanks for watching. See you next time.